Morning guys. I went out fishing yesterday with the bunyip and we got a nice pink snapper. So I thought I would do another print. Now I've done a few and I'm not sure if you guys are interested or not, so I'll probably do a couple more videos and see what the reaction is, and if people are interested I'll keep doing them and showing you a few tricks as I learn, because I'm still learning. So we'll start off with the fish. Got a nice pink snapper. A bit of a shadow there from the camera. Now the first thing we got to do with these fish, as I'm learning, is to pin them out. So I've got some pins in the top here to keep the fins out. Got the tail up a bit higher. It just makes it a bit easier to get a print on it if everything's laid flat. Got a little pin in here and some blocks just to hold the pectoral fins out. And we've got the side fins on the side. I tend to try and splay them out a little bit. Normally I would try and open the mouth, but this guy's jaw is so locked shut, there's no moving it. The other thing I'll just point out that we do, that I'm doing anyway, is things like the tail. When I paint the ink on, obviously it goes onto the surrounds. Now then when you do a print, you will pick the ink up off of the surrounds as well, not just the fish. So what I'm doing is I've been putting bits of paper under the tail. I'll paint my ink on and then I'll take it away so it's only ink on the tail, and the same just on the top here. When I paint it on, in case it touches this foam here, I'll put some paper under and then remove it. So some fish I did a Sergeant Baker, was the last one, which was an awesome print. I really should have done a video on that. That had some really big fins, so I had to do a lot more pinning out on it, holding the fins out, and because it was a rounder body fish, had to lay stuff under them, and there's a lot more moving the paper in and out. But I got some good prints. What I'm finding is the first half a dozen prints I do are never that great, and then probably by about a dozen I'm starting to get some really good prints. So we'll see how we go with this one today. So I'll come back, I'll get the ink sorted, then I'll show you that and how we paint it on. Like I said in the previous video, the ink I'm using is a cuttlefish ink. So I bought this online just for convenience. I didn't know where to get it down here. You can probably get it in fancy delis and that, because it's actually for cooking. So for your squid ink, pasta and that. But I'll put some in. As you'll see, it's quite thick. So what we have to do is I'll put a bit in, get that bit out. Really good shit. And then I'll have to just add a bit of water. Alright, so what I've done is I've added a bit of water to the squid ink, because like I said before, it was quite gluggy. So you got to get it more liquidy. I don't know if this might be a bit too wet, but we'll paint it on and see how we go. Righto, so we've got the fish pinned out, got the paper under as I explained earlier. Now we'll go through and paint it. So like I say, it's a watered down cuttlefish ink, because else it's too thick. What I tend to do is I'll paint it in many directions. So you see it's very black. Now you only have to paint the side where you're doing it, so no, you don't have to panic about painting underneath. Get all your fins. What I have found doing these is fish that have good scales look really good. Fish that don't have that scaly body, you still get a print off it, but you don't get that lovely texture of the scales. So yeah, I did a skippy or a silver trevally, depending on where you're from. Got a print, and I could show you later. print of a fish shape, but because it has that really fine scales on the body. See, I want this spread out a bit more. What I will do, get a pin, and I'll just grab that top fin and we will take it up and we'll pin it into its body. Now, I'll try and do it near one of these big hard spines, and then you can hide, get that bloody pin through. These are very tough fish, guys, so big scales, I've got to find my way through under the scales because I've got to hide the pin. There we go. So if I do that, see, it just spreads the fin out a little bit, and I might just put pin down the bottom to pull the bottom bit down. You think painting it all black you won't notice it, but it's the texture we're picking up. And like I say, the first print is going to suck. Horse does. So we'll see how we go. Just trying to get a bloody pin through. It's harder than you think. So that'll do. Squid ink everywhere. So I'll paint that on. Get a good coat. I say I tend to find the first one I overdo. I've never done a great first print yet. So, you know, don't panic. You buy your paper in bulk. Your ink is cheap. You know, once you got your stuff, it's pretty cheap. Be prepared for some prints that you're not happy with. But what I'll do is I'll do probably a dozen or so prints today of this fish, and then I'll probably end up with 2 or 3 that I'm really happy with. So what you got to do too is you don't want it blotchy. You want to get it into, it's like picking up the grain on wood, so to speak. You know, I want to find all the grain I want. So if I go back this way again, it sort of puts it in under the scales, pick up all those fin details. Doesn't hurt to just dry a bit off your brush, and then I'll go back down. I don't want a super heavy coat. If you have a super heavy coat, you just end up with big blotches everywhere, big blotches, and it just looks crap, guys. Like I say, I'm still learning. I'm far from an expert, long way from an expert in this. I've watched a couple of videos, got a general idea, and then gone down the line of let's have a crack and see how we go. See these bits in here where there's like blotchiness, I really got to thin that out, because I'm just going to end up, I know, and there's a loose scale. I don't want a loose scale floating around because that'll show up in your print. Just thin it off. It's a bit heavy around the face here. When you do your first one, it sort of, it'll give you an idea. Every fish is different, so you just want to experiment. Don't be afraid to experiment. So I'll turn that off. I'll go get my paper and we'll come back. Alright, so what I've got is what they call washi paper, or it's a type of rice paper. You can buy it in big packs, relatively cheap. So the first thing we're going to do is just take these out. So you see that would pick up on the print. All these blotchy bits here will pick up on the print. So what I'm going to do is just flip that one round. It's a bit bloody tricky. Sometimes it's a bit fiddly, guys. So I just don't want all that stuff off the foam going onto the fish print. And we're not going to get this perfect first print, I can guarantee you that. So this is washi paper. So you know, main thing you want to do is just try and get your fish level. And then you lay it down. And instantly, you can see the print starting to come through. And I fucked up. Already I fucked up, because what have I done? I haven't allowed for the full length of the fish. But what we'll do, we're not going to panic, we'll continue with the print, because I want to see what else I'm not happy with. Because I've already stuffed this one. Let's find out what else I need to get right on the next print. You got to work the paper around the body, guys. I'll I've got this fin here I've got to get. It's a bit, you know, it's sticking outwards, so it's a little bit, don't be afraid to get your hands in here. And we'll work our way around. Don't go too under the body, because then you'll distort the shape of the fish. So you can see it's gill rakers. You want to get round to sort of halfway point on the fish. And then you'll get a true representation of the shape of the fish itself. So that is the first print. Like I say, I made a mistake. I don't know if you can see up this end, I didn't put the paper far enough back, because it's a bigger fish than I've used to doing, and I've not had to take that into account. So what we'll do is we'll lift it off. We'll lift it off carefully, because the paper is very fine, and when it gets damp it does tear. So we'll flip that round, and I'll just lay it on the table, and I'll bring you over to have a look at number 1 print. So that's the first print, guys. Not too bad. If you see, I've got too much ink here, it's too heavy, so it's blotchy. You got some blotchiness here, so I just got to look at that for next time. And like I said, the other mistake I made was I didn't have the paper far enough over. This is a bigger fish, so I'm not used to this. I've got to put the paper, start it back here, so I get the full fin in. But that's your first print. So your first print gives you an idea. And all we'll do is we'll go back and I'll paint it again. I don't have to put as much ink on, because really it's got ink on it. I'm just reloading it a little bit, and we'll go from there. I'll just reapply the ink. Make sure you get your fins. Make sure you just get a nice even coat. It doesn't have to be too heavy. Really what you're after is a light coat, then you don't get that blotchiness, and you'll pick up all the details you want. The details you want are like the scales and the filaments in the fins, and not just a big blotchy fish shape. Maybe some people like a big blotchy fish shape, but the thing I really like about these prints is the scales and the texture. As I say, so we get these fins here. Don't want to go too heavy again, because like I said, if you look at the last print, around the head was a little bit too heavy in colour. So what I'll do is I'll brush it on, and then I'll brush it off. This fin here, don't forget that. Don't forget your spines down here. So I really need to brush a bit of this off. You want the ink on, but you don't want it super laden. I'll be able to see that detail. Happy with this. I think it just needs to remove a little bit from around the head. Heads can be a bit different because they don't have that texture, real texture that the body has to sort of soak up the ink, and therefore with these big bony plates, these big bony plates, you tend to get those big smudgy black marks. So let's have a crack at that one. I'll just turn the camera off and reset, and I'll come back when I've got the paper. Right, this going for the second print. I'll just get rid of that scale or spine there, don't want that. Like I said last time, I didn't get the tail right, so I've got to make sure I'll move the paper down a bit and hopefully I'll get that whole tail. That's better. Get the nice filaments of the tail, work our way up, slowly sort of wrap it around, because you've got to work it around to where the fins are so that you can pick up the fins. Beautiful, this is going good so far. Don't jinx yourself, Daz. There's the spikes there, and some more fins here. The good thing with this paper, because it's so thin, you can see the print coming through, so you got a bit of an idea as you go how it's working out. I want to get in here, get these fins, get that scales, get that pectoral fin, I want to get this head. Got a nice big lumpy head, so I want to get the height of the head in. You do crease the paper a bit, guys, don't panic about that. It's sort of part of the deal. So you do that, push it in here, get it in. We've got to work round and get his mouth in, get his mouth, bottom jaw. So you it's good if you sort of understand what your fish looks like, and then you know you can try and replicate that with your print, because that's what you're doing. You're printing the fish. This one's actually looking not too bad from this side anyway. Go under here and got the fins in. I think what we'll do is just take this body here. See, the body shape was a bit shallow here. I need to bring it down underneath so you actually get the feel of the size of the fish. And we will peel this off and see how we go with number 2 print. Yeah, a bit of deformity in the head, but we'll get that. Righto, put that on the table and we'll have a look. Righto, just to give you a look, that is number 2 and there's number 1 at the bottom. So if you have a look at number 1, she's quite blotchy here. It's not as bad on this one. The only thing I don't like is I've gone a little bit too far under. I really don't need this bit here. So I've gone a bit too far under with the jaw. It deforms his head shape, that's all. But I've got his whole tail in this time. It's a better print. Just know myself, I take at least half a dozen before I start getting happy with it. Righto guys, done 8 prints, so I'll just give you a look at the progression. I think I'm happy with the last one, so I'm just going to stop that. I'm running out of room to dry them basically. So like I say, that's where we started. We got up to, that was like number 2. Number 3 was quite good. I was quite happy with number 3. We've ended up, this is like the last one I've done, and actually I think one of my favourites is the one I don't know, it gets hard picking out a favourite. There's that one, quite liking that one too. So I've done enough for now because I have got more fish to print, so I'm going to leave it at that. But yeah, so that's Gyotaku on a pink snapper. Like I say, don't think you're going to get it first go. That's what you're going to start with, and you're going to end up with something more like that after a few goes. It's just about working out how thickly you need to apply your ink, and just like also where you rub to the edges of the fish, because if you go too far around, you actually distort the shape of the fish. You want it to be recognisable as whatever it is. The other little thing I will add on, that's my fish now. So all I have to do now is I will take that outside. I'll pull those couple of pins out of it, make sure I get those pins out of the body that I put in there. I'll rinse that off and I'll fillet it off, and it will be good to go to eat. Because it is squid ink, it is an edible ink. I'm not using any chemical inks or anything like that. It is a natural ink, so the fish don't get wasted as far as food. Yeah, I'll take that outside, I'll fillet it off and probably have it for dinner tonight. And yeah, and I've got some nice fish prints out of it. So let us know if you want more of these in the comments. That'd be great, because I don't mind doing them, but I don't want to do them if nobody wants to watch them. So yeah, I'll do a few more, and if you enjoy them, let us know. And if you've got any pointers, if you've done this before and there's something that I'm doing wrong that let me know, because I'd love to, I'm learning as I go, guys. So yeah, that's where we're at. Okay, we'll see you next time.